July began with a vampire farmer, then a cat inherited a postal crisis, the final source of sunlight came under siege, and the rest of the month began approaching with aliens, eldritch rain, restaurant debt, and several increasingly suspicious management systems. So all in all, I'm having a pretty normal summer. These are 13 indie games releasing throughout July that I either already have my hands on or will be keeping a very close eye on. This is not 13 reviews squeezed into one video until they start making distress noises. We are keeping this simple. What does each game promise? Why am I watching it? And which ones look most likely to quietly consume my schedule? First up is Moonlight Peaks. Moonlight Peaks launched on July 7th, promising a supernatural life sim where you farm magical crops, brew potions, cast spells, and build relationships with the residents of its extremely marketable little vampire town. I already covered the demo, where I met a bat uncle, made wine for a drunken vampire, cooked one profoundly ambitious egg, and stared across a blocked bridge at the town where most of the game appeared to be hiding. Now that the baby fangs are gone, it is time to find out whether the full game brings the relationship depth, expanded cooking, and supernatural community the demo was promising, and whether it actually bites. Cat Mail Co. Cat Mail Co. launched on July 9th and puts you in charge of restoring a forgotten post office on a quiet island inhabited by cats. You weigh, stamp, label, sort, and organize parcels while Moonlight reveals hidden information about the packages and the mystery behind the missing former postman. I have already reviewed this one too. It is small, gentle, and built around preparation, organization, and the satisfaction of getting everything where it belongs. Although the post office apparently operates 24 hours a day with one employee, so I do have unresolved questions for Cat OSHA. Cute hats do not replace legally mandated rest periods. Dawnhold. Dawnhold launched on July 13th. It is a top-down action-based defense game where you gather resources, construct walls and towers, survive enemy waves, and eventually push outward to attack the Hollowborn directly. The thing you are protecting is the Sunstone, the last remaining source of light in the world. No pressure. Each mission starts from scratch, so you are balancing construction, upgrades, gathering combat bosses, and the slow realization that your defensive perimeter has once again become a public suggestion. I've already spent time with this one, and there is more sitting under its inexpensive little frame than the screenshots suggest. It starts as tower defense, and eventually you get irritated, leave the tower, and handle the complaint personally. Moss, the Forgotten Relic. Moss, the Forgotten Relic releases July 16th, bringing Moss and Moss Book 2 together for their non-VR debut. You guide Quill, a tiny but determined mouse, through puzzles, combat, and a ruined fantasy kingdom while existing as another presence inside her story. You are not simply controlling her from a distance, you are meant to feel like her partner in the adventure. A mouse carrying a mountain of narrative responsibility. Obviously, I'm watching. Cat Isle. Cat Isle releases July 20th. It is a cozy pixel art management game inspired by Japan's Cat Islands, where you transform a tiny train platform in the middle of the sea into a thriving town for cats. You construct restaurants and shops, manage supply and demand, decorate buildings, and figure out the preferences of your extremely particular residents. Some want fresh sashimi, others want tea and somewhere quiet to nap, so the cats have already negotiated a better work-life balance than most humans. The full game is expected to be fairly compact, with 4 levels and roughly 2 to 4 hours of playtime. That could work nicely. Not every management game needs to become a second occupation. Scarlet Deer Inn. Scarlet Deer Inn releases July 21st, and it easily has one of the strongest visual pitches on this list. It is a dark, medieval narrative platformer inspired by Slavic folklore, with character animation created using frames that were physically embroidered by hand. You play as Elise, a mother of 2 pulled from her ordinary village life into a much darker journey involving monsters, underground spaces, family tragedy, and one increasingly important torch. That torch is apparently your only protection beneath the surface, which feels a tad insufficient. This looks like somebody's heirloom embroidery developed generational trauma and began telling folktales after midnight. Dive or Die, Children of Rain. Also launching July 21st is Dive or Die, Children of Rain. A mysterious black rain is flooding the world, and you repeatedly descend into a cursed abyss to scavenge supplies, fight eldritch creatures, and gather what your camp needs to survive. Above ground, you upgrade your settlement and recruit survivors. You may also sacrifice some of those survivors, so the community retention program appears to require additional funding. The pitch combines action-heavy expeditions, camp management, and difficult choices. My My question is whether those systems support one another or arrive together and immediately begin screaming. That brings us through the cozy cats, handmade folklore, and eldritch weather portion of July. Now retail gets involved, and whether things are about to improve is up to you. Up first, Security 51. Security 51 releases July 27th. You work as a security officer inside an underground Area 51 facility, checking clearances, scanning employees, reviewing documents, and deciding who can enter a mysterious elevator descending miles beneath the facility. You also need to decide who absolutely must not be allowed to leave. It is openly inspired by Papers, Please and SCP-style paranoia. Someone may have valid paperwork. They may answer every question correctly. They may also no longer be human. The best version of this will not need constant jump scares. It will make one incorrect date or slightly strange photograph feel like the opening stages of a containment breach. Suncraft. Suncraft releases July 28th. It is a cozy pixel adventure about gathering resources, crafting items, upgrading tools, expanding the island, and helping a village recover by rebuilding its lighthouse. That is a very gentle sentence. Suspiciously gentle. The lighthouse gives the loop a clear purpose, which I appreciate. Cozy resource games can become lovely little routines, but they can also slowly transform me into an unpaid materials coordinator supervising rocks. At least here, I know what the rocks are for. Leafy Corner. Leafy Corner releases July 30th. It is a cozy shop management game where you grow, care for, and sell more than 100 varieties of houseplants. You help customers choose the right plants, discover variegations, complete orders, improve the shop's reputation, and decorate the space with new pots, furniture, and greenery. I already know how this would go for me. I would begin with one tasteful shelf. 3 hours later, the shop would be an unnavigatable jungle because I refused to sell the plant that looked slightly lonely. The big question is whether the business and customer systems remain interesting after the shop is decorated. Cute plants can get me through the door. I still need something for my brain to supervise once I arrive. Red the Cook. Also arriving July 30th is Red the Cook. Red quits his soul-sucking job, takes out a risky loan, and opens a restaurant. This is either the premise of a cozy cooking simulator or the opening paragraph of a financial warning. You chop, fry, mix ingredients, craft recipes, serve strange customers, and manage time before everyone loses patience. As someone who spent more than 15 years working in professional kitchens, I will be investigating the word cozy with the scrutiny of a health inspector entering the back door. I want to know whether the cooking feels satisfying, whether the restaurant management has an actual heat to it, and how long it takes before Red discovers that the dream is 90% preparation and someone calling in sick on Saturday. I will be entering with an open mind, a clipboard, and unresolved ticket printer trauma. Corsair Cove. Corsair Cove closes the month on July 31st. It is a pirate city builder where you construct a sprawling haven, manage complex production chains, recruit a rowdy crew, build ships, raid islands, and fight the crown to keep the age of piracy alive. Your settlement can spread across cliffs and steep terrain, meaning production routes may stretch vertically through the entire town. This is not merely piracy, it is pirate logistics. Ale, cannons, pistols, ships, workers, supply chains, and state-opposed acquisition of goods. This may be the most mechanically ambitious game on the list. It appears determined to turn a cliff face into an industrial spreadsheet with cannons, and honestly, I respect the vision. One special mention before we close out, Crownhold. Crownhold is also floating somewhere inside July, but it still has no exact release date. I'm not counting it among the 13 confirmed releases, but it remains nearby, clicking resources and refusing to consult a calendar. So, those are the 13 confirmed indie releases sitting on my radar for July. We have Vampire Farming, Cat-Operated Postal Services, Tiny Mouse Heroics, Embroidered Folklore, Eldritch Diving, A Suspicious Government Paperwork, Plant Retail, Restaurant Debt, and Pirate Manufacturing. It is a strange little buffet. Some of these games are cozy, some are horrifying. Several looked at those two categories and asked why they should have to choose. I'm not promising full reviews for all 13 because I possess one body and Steam apparently believes I operate as a small editorial department. So tell me, which one do you want to see most reviewed? That genuinely helps me decide what gets dragged to the front of the queue. Personally, I'm waiting to discover whether Red the Cook understands what kind of former executive chef is currently approaching his restaurant. Subscribe if you want to be here when the inspection begins. Cheers, everyone.